Hey everyone! So this isn't going to be the best quality video, which I'm sorry about. I'm actually at my relatives and everyone is sleeping, so I don't want to disturb them, especially because it includes my grandparents. And so I'm just in this garage that they have here. I am over here today just for transport reasons. I actually went to visit a friend, so I am going to be stuck for a while because I was actually going through trying to catch up on work that is in my schedule, and turns out a lot of it can only be done at home, such as cleaning my room and actually, making it tidy for once. I haven't done my annual cleanup for it yet, so I just thought I'm in this garage by myself. I don't have anything to study for and anything else to do besides read a book, and I feel like I should just film this instead. And I have 7 subscribers. I don't think you guys mind if my quality is bad. So today's video is going to be about how I became a model at 5'2". 5'2" is also 158 centimeters. It's actually technically 5'2 and a half, but if I say that, people are just going to be like, yeah, you're reaching right now, so I don't say that. So I have split this into 3 sections. First is why I got into it, second is how I got into it, and third is how you can get into it too. I see a lot of these videos on YouTube and I've actually searched up so many. I started getting suggestions on how to do these stretch exercises to get taller. That's how sad it's become. So if you guys don't know, maybe because it just depends on where you grow up, I am the average height of a Japanese woman. And everyone knows that Asians and Japanese women and all of that are quite small and petite. I am very small and petite. However, in photos, it's not very hard for me to look tall just because my torso is very long. So my body is actually not the ideal proportion. It's actually long torso, short legs. But because of what I wear, and which is often, high-waisted things, and because of photo angles and knowing how to pose and just a lot of practice over time, I know how to look tall in my photos. So I do deceive people, but it's not like on purpose. So a lot of the time I will turn up to shoots or meet online friends and they'll be like, oh, okay. And yeah, it's a little bit degrading, I'm not gonna lie. Not that it's their fault, because obviously if you have this expectation in your head, you're just gonna be a little bit surprised. I know it's not with any malicious intention, but yeah, it is a little bit frustrating because I do wish I was taller. But I wanted to make this video just to show people that there is hope out there. The shortest successful, obviously successful is very subjective, but the shortest successful model that I've seen in my research is 5'1", so a whole inch shorter than me. And yeah, it's pretty cool because obviously, even though the industry is still pretty cutthroat in a lot of ways, it is a lot more inclusive than it was a decade ago. And so I am happy that I even have the opportunity to be a model. So why is there a height requirement for modeling? When you're in an agency, they want you to be able to do every single type of modeling possible. Otherwise, what's the point if they look at you and you're like, oh, we think you'll only be good for TV commercials? Then you may as well join an agency specifically for TV commercials and not for everything, because they know that they just won't get you enough work and then they won't earn enough money. So when you're a model, everyone's thinking about the high fashion models, especially ones who walk the runway. If you're a runway model, you're basically a coat hanger. You are someone who is showing the standard, the industry standard. They have made these clothes for the runway for particular sizes, because why would they make different sizes when it's just for a display presentation show? So you're in this one size fits all kind of thing. And so you have to be this slim, tall figure to be able to fit these runway clothes. And obviously, when it comes to magazines and commercials, the clothes are more fitted to you because they've chosen you to be the face of that campaign. However, if you're going to be put out for all different types of work, you need to be able to be available for the runway. And if you're not the normal 5'8" or 5'9" or even 5'10", yeah, then what's the point of these agents signing you for the magazines and commercials when really they want you to do everything? And so the top tier of that is the runway. So that's why there's a height requirement. So basically there's no actual height requirement for something like a magazine or a campaign, unless it's specific, obviously. Like, for example, everyone knows you're not showing your height in a beauty campaign. You're showing off the skincare on your face for that kind of thing. However, if you do want to be put forward for a lot of different types of work and really accelerate in being a full-time model, you're gonna have to be a runway model as well. And so you need to have that height requirement. So for the rest of of us, unfortunately, what I'm just going to say straight up is that if you want to be a model, but you are not at that biggest, that tallest height requirement, then you're probably never really going to make it on a runway unless you build up your reputation very, very high. Even then, one of the most successful 5'2" models, her name is Zoe Bell Elise. Even she has only done some kind of special KFC runway, obviously a very commercialized and casual runway. If she, who is one of the most successful petite models, has only done that, then I would say that, yeah, you're probably never going to walk a runway. So let's just get that out of our heads, because I want to be brutally honest, just like this industry is. So first of all, part one. Gosh, I need a break. So part one is about why I got into modeling and why I just want to be in this industry. So basically how it started for me was just wanting to be creative. I felt that when I graduated from school, I had been sucked of all my creative juices because I'd never took anything like DT, which is design, technology, or art, even though I really wanted to kind of. Like there was a part of me that was like, I'm not talented enough, but I'm also very interested in it, and I never did it. And also because, to be frank, I thought it would be easy. I thought that it would be a nice side hustle to have money-wise, and that I could just pose in these shoots and get some money from them and just do it as a little bit of a side job. So how I actually got into it and the things that I realized about like just the misconceptions that I had. So how I got into it was that throughout my last year of school, I had noticed that some people I followed, whether they were online or real life friends, had gone to this place called Photo Studio. And this is a place that is in Sydney and Melbourne. They have a couple branches. And first off, I just want to say it's a scam. I have talked to someone who even went to the Melbourne studio, and she agrees with me. And what they do is that they are just a typical studio. So, go ahead and get your family portraits done there, do your creative shoots there. But what they're most famous for is for basically preying on young girls, not in like a sexual way, by the way, they're not predators, but they basically prey and just leech off the fact that young girls, like myself back then when I was newly an adult, want to model, and they basically do these photo shoots with them. And they make it into this thing where it's like, if you do these photos and you buy these photos off us afterwards, because obviously it's not free, then you can easily become a model. It's that kind of message. And so I went there. I really wanted to do this. I booked in a full-on shoot. And it was only when they called me a week before it that they said, by the way, the price of each photo is like $2,000. And I was there like, that's really expensive just for a photo of myself in a studio. I know it's like a studio and stuff, but that much. So I told my mum, and my mum was like, yeah, that's quite a lot. But I went ahead with it anyway. And basically she was like, look, at the most, we'll buy a couple photos, but just treat this as a studio experience. I don't want you thinking we're going to buy like the whole lot. And I agreed, because let's be real, that's very expensive. Even a couple photos is $4,000. So I went to this studio shoot. What they do is that, first of all, you're sitting in this waiting room for ages, and there's this little TV with a whole runway show playing, like really getting into it. You have these albums on the table where they're showing past photo shoots and whatever. Then you're brought in and you meet your stylist. Your stylist doesn't provide the clothing. You provide your clothing, and they just put an outfit together for you. They put together two extremely simple outfits for me. I'll put in some photos for you because whenever I can show these photos, I absolutely milk these opportunities because they were so expensive. But I wore a swimsuit and super flare pink pants. And then my second outfit was an off-shoulder top from Chinatown and my black performance choir pants from school. And so after that, you put into hair and makeup. I had mine done by a Japanese woman, and I mean, she was fine, but she did it extremely naturally. And I just feel like if you're going to get your hair and makeup done professionally, like at least put a little bit more effort in. She barely curled my hair. The makeup, I can pass for it being a bit natural, because obviously if you're taking these typical headshots and just clean studio shots of yourself, then yes, you do want natural makeup. But yeah, I was in the studio. The photographer kind of directs you. He told me this tip where I was doing this with my hand, and he was like, never have like this gap kind of thing. Like you always have to kind of like put your fingers together like this. And I was like, so that's the tip that I remember the most probably. And then after that, you finish up, you say thank you, and you got to come back a week or a fortnight later, I can't remember, and sit in this room with the person who's attending to you, and they show you the edited photos of the ones that they think are good. And so there's about maybe, I would say 25 that they show you that you can buy from if you like. I ended up choosing a dozen because my mum saw them and she thought, you've gone this far with it, why not buy a lot? So my parents spent almost $3,000 on it for me. I made an agreement with them that I would pay them back, but eventually when I tried to, they were like, honestly, that's quite a lot for someone your age, we don't really mind anymore. So they were nice and generous about it. And so I ended up with a dozen photos. When I look at them now, I only like about 3 of them. I posted some of them recently on Instagram because I was commemorating my first shoot. And yeah, I look back and I'm like, at least I have improved, but I look back and I'm like, damn, the skill was not there. But it's okay. It was my first shoot. Anyway, I remember this person attending to me and she said to me, yeah, if you have any questions, DM me. She full on followed me on Instagram in front of my face and all of that. I remember this circumstance flashing forward a little bit right now. But I had this offer for an agency about a month later. And I remember not knowing if it was dodgy or not because she was the one who was warning me about dodgy agencies. And so I messaged her on Instagram and I was like, hey, how are you? I was just wondering about this agency and if you think it's legit or not. And she scene-zoned me. She never replied. So like here you have this whole team at Photo Studio who's trying to be like super friendly and be like, you're going to be the next star. I mean, they're not that promising, but you know, they're like, yeah, go model, go be a model. And they're not even there to really help you genuinely on your journey. So it's definitely a scam. I'm sorry to anyone watching this if they have gone, but it's really just not worth it. Maybe if you win one of their competitions and you get free photos, sure, go ahead. But the money side, it's not worth it. Anyway, so that was how I got into it in terms of doing my first shoot. And the reason why I did this, by the way, which I don't think I said before, is because you're kind of promised that you need to submit these photos in order to get into an agency, which is so not true. Because when you apply for agencies, they're actually asking for your digis. Digis are natural photos of yourself, which are literally just like straight down, like, they're not photo shots, they're not studio shots. So after this, because I was also posting more photos of myself in general on Instagram, my friend at the time, who is now my partner, he was getting into photography at the same time I was getting into modeling. And so obviously we would use each other to practice. So I was posting more photos of myself. And this was my schoolies period. So I was going out, living my life without school or uni. So I had all of this time on my hands. And I was posting more photos. So these people were actually reaching out to me via my Instagram messages saying, hey, can we shoot sometime? And this is something called TFP, time for prints. This is when you do a free collaboration because you exchange your time for some content. So usually they're amateur photographers because obviously if you're a professional photographer, you don't need to be reaching out to randoms asking them to do shoots with you. And so I got maybe a couple or a few people. And just because I was newly an adult, I was very innocent out of school, and I would ask my mom, like, I don't know if this is like the right thing. Like, just my gut feeling kind of felt a bit unsafe doing this, even if my mom did come. My mom's also a very small person, so it's not like she could just defend me. So I basically said no and rejected these people and just decided to keep living my life. However, I had joined a couple TFP groups by this time, which is on Facebook. You just search up, TFP Sydney, putting out requests for people they need. So for example, need a model for this weekend for my assignment, or need a model to practice with, stuff like that. So I had joined these groups. And so by this time I had done a couple beauty shoots, which just means that a makeup artist wanted to practice on me. So she came over twice and she was so lovely, love her. And she just did my makeup. And then I also went to a hair salon by myself. And that was just like, she curled my hair and she wanted to promote her new salon opening. And so those were the only 2 things I did. But by this time, my mum had said, look, I really just want you to stop this. I don't like the idea of starting out having to collaborate with strangers, and especially because a lot of photographers are male. I just don't want to have to worry about you. And I kind of agreed with her, but at the same time, it was the one thing that I had become passionate about in the past few years. Throughout high school, I didn't have any hobbies. So this was something that was really dear to me and becoming quite something that I was quite, on fire about. And so throughout my family holiday during this schooly period, I was actually just applying for agencies. I was like, whenever we were in the hotels resting, I was on my laptop full on searching up agencies all the way overseas, not even Australian ones anymore. And I was just trying to submit because the photo studio people had told me you are a bit on the short side, but maybe you can just apply even if they have a requirement for height. Just do it. Maybe they'll really like your look. Obviously, it's a rare chance, but that's why I was just applying. So basically, I gave up. A lot of the agencies that got back to me, which is actually one of them that I'm like a part of now, that I only joined at the start of this year, one of them actually got back to me all the way back then. But then when I replied to that reply, they stopped. So I never ended up signing a contract or anything. Oh no, I did sign a contract, but they didn't have any other correspondence with me. So they were quite disorganized. And so it would be those circumstances where it was like, I'm almost there, but not really. I even had this Barcelona agency get back to me, and then I don't know what happened with that. I've totally forgotten. So I stopped for the year after I finished school. And then last year, I decided during quarantine, because I was becoming a bit more of a professional account and I was starting to follow people who I didn't know personally in real life. I actually had Instagram online friends, and I just decided I really want to be a content creator, so maybe be more on the path towards being an influencer, and that includes modeling because you're obviously posing for photos all the time, and I like to promote things and I like social media. And so that's how I got actually more into posting photos of myself, which led to people once again reaching out to me via Instagram or via those TFP Facebook groups. And so I was like, oh, maybe I can go back into modeling. And I started out with a little bit of beauty, outdoor shoots, very casual. A lot of them were just either building their portfolios and social media, or they were just amateurs. And I actually did my last free collaboration in May, which is only half a year ago. And that's how long it took me to get through all of those people who wanted to suddenly shoot with me. And so that's how I got back into it. It just happened like that, with the power of connections and social media. By the time it was September last year, I got signed to my first agency, FRM Real Faces. It's a commercial one. And then I got signed into a content creator agency called Romello. I got signed into JR Management, my modeling, commercial, and content creator agency. And my fourth one was Royale, which I signed to at the start of this year, which is a fashion modeling agency. I managed to get into these agencies that didn't have height requirements. And what happens is that when you are in commercial, they want someone to look normal. They want someone to be like, we need a blonde Asian to be driving a Toyota in my ad. So you don't have to be good looking or tall to be in those agencies. You can just be in them. Content creation, obviously, if you don't mind being a content creator, you can go for that too. And fashion modeling agencies, I just happened to find one, Royale, that didn't care about my height. However, usually they do. Also, I forgot to add, I'm in another agency called Kalula, and that is for petites, so specifically people 5'7" and under, which is cool, obviously, feeling the inclusivity. I think the person who founded it is an inch shorter than me. So yeah, that is how I got into it. And now into how you can get into it too. Number one, make sure you apply through the agency's websites. So just do your own research, look at what agencies models tag in their bios, and look at their websites and just bookmark every single application page that you can find, because yeah, maybe when you're just, feeling that boost of motivation, you could go through each of them and just upload your photos and do your measurements, etc. So what you need in order to prepare for this, which by the way, if you're watching this and you live in Sydney, I can actually take your digitals for you for $40 for a package based on my own experience. And so first of all, you have to do your details. Second of all, your measurements. So make sure you get your bust, your chest, your waist, your hips, and your height. and your shoe and dress sizes. And you also have to take digitals a lot of the time. So yes, sometimes they might say put in your favorite photo of yourself, put in a photo that can be anything of yourself, and that's when you put your special photo shoot photos in. However, most of the time they just want to see you natural. So basically just wear some heels, take some with bikini, take some with slim fitting clothing, have natural lighting. They love that kind of thing. You just have to show what you really look like, whether you think you actually look good without makeup or not. And then second thing, use hashtags. A lot of agencies have these hashtags in their bios, and you can just put it into your the latest photo you posted on Instagram. I always do it when I find a new hashtag, and literally just put it there. That's how I got scouted by Real Faces, my first agency. Third thing is use Instagram to help you. So for me, the relationship that I have with content creation, as I have said in my previous video, is that I'm only doing it to build up my profile as a model. Because obviously once you get your name out there, people are going to be like, oh, look at this person who can model. They don't see your height first, because Instagram, you don't have like a measurement profile on your Instagram. So you may as well use your Instagram to let you show off your potential before people judge you because of your height first. Fourth, I use talent hubs. In Australia, there is one called The Right Fit, which is where I've gotten a lot of both my modeling and content work. I've actually gotten some of my best jobs from there. And this is when companies who can't really be bothered to go through agencies or find their own people will just go on this talent hub, and they'll be like, I need a content creator, I need a model, and I need you to do this. And those have really helped me. They do take quite a big commission, and sometimes it can be a little bit dodgy, as with anything in this industry. But yeah, I think those are totally worth it. And what have I learnt from modeling? Just going to add this little extra bit in. I always thought that in order to have some real life work experience, I would be working in retail or hospitality, doing your typical Macca's, Kmart jobs. But modeling was actually that for me. It was a place where I could not only meet new people, but also be able to see what working with bad humans are like. Not that no one is bad, but working with people who would cheat you from like your photos. I've had photographers who have been unhappy with the work, so they've refused to give me photos when I've already exchanged my time by being there. I've had people who have sent me completely unedited images. They just don't care. And so, yeah, there's so many things that you just have to kind of breathe and move on from and just accept that you'll never have. And that's what it's like just to work with people. And yeah, the industry can be toxic and cutthroat. I know that I personally have had weight struggles just with knowing that I am not tall enough, and so I've wanted to compensate by being very thin, and that's obviously not healthy. It actually stopped my period, which is a sign of health, I learnt from this experience, for 4 cycles because of that and because of my unhealthiness. So yeah, you don't want to get to that extent. You want to do this as a side hustle, unless you're a full-time model. This is a video more for people to do it on the side. But yeah, it is a great side hustle to have. And as of now, I would say that first of all, my goal is to one day see myself just on a billboard, on a shop front, anywhere, a poster. I just want to be able to take one of those cool model shots that I see all of my online friends doing and being like, look at me, taking a photo next to it. And secondly, I do modeling work every couple months now. So it's not frequent, but it's frequent enough that I feel like I am a model. Like, I get paid. I only do paid work now, and it's great. I have my own rates, I have my own website, and I find it really fun. And having the opportunity to say to people, yes, I model, is like, whoa, because people underestimate me, especially since I'm so short. And also because if you just look at me now, like, look at me. So yeah, once you say like, yeah, I actually do model, and they see your Instagram and stuff, everyone's like, whoa. And it's a cool hobby to have. Like, usually when you ask people about their hobbies, they tell you what Netflix show they're watching. I don't even have Netflix. I'm here focusing on my modeling hustle. So it's something that I guess it makes me feel more interesting, and it gives me that little bit of like life boosting that I need, and it's really fun. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out in the comments or in my Instagram profile messages, and I will try to get back to you. But I hope that this video was helpful and insightful. See ya.